And what was that like to have a mother who was addicted to crack?
I love my mom. She the bomb to me, so
I know she is now, but what about then?
It was hard. It was hard because, she was my hero.
It's about a kid, Like, to be honest, it's really looking at what happened to a young kid in a household and what he was going through at that time that, he wasn't even able to understand at that point in time. When we talk about the record Crack Rock.
Crack rock infiltrated every hood. Some say the shit was bad, some say the shit was good. It was good for the dealers, it was bad for the buyers. To the dealers turn life is in the buyers turn brighter.
A confused person, who is, I would say, inspired by the drug life and the drug culture. Not because of what they're doing, but because of what they have, because of the jewelry, because of the cars. And, when you're 9 years old, that's what success looks like to you. When you're 10 years old, 15 years old, success looks like that. It looks like these material things. So you kind of become this kid who doesn't really understand the lifestyle that they're living, but you definitely recognize the things that they have, and you kind of fight for those things. You want those things.
But when you're 16, astonished by dealers living, you go insane, realizing that your mama missing, and your brother picture whipping, but no food in kitchen. Then he hand you 50 bucks for some rice and chicken. Do you acknowledge your brother selling and mama using all that life of a hustler?
But I'm seeing that it's a cycle happening, and I don't know what to do. I don't know how to address my brother selling drugs and my mother's using drugs. So you know what I do? Get a job, keep a some of you job or a little fast food job. Get a girlfriend, play some basketball. Anything I had to do, to hide from these things that was happening. Get out the house and, almost, like run away, literally. So when we talk about crack rock.
No, I ignored it. Restored the hope, but the facts of life I fought it. All I needed was a Tootie and a Rudy. Some of you fresh kicks and we up to the movies.
That was impacted by the history that happened to them before, like an entire generation of family, of mothers and fathers, uncles and aunts, completely wiped away. So, that's the reality that I face right now. That's what we're going through, and we're still trying to pick the pieces up. Kind of tap into history a little bit and talk about what leads to that point, like what leads to this 14, 16, and 12 or 9-year-old kid, going through those experiences at that time. And I don't know, I guess the closest information or closest history that is to me, would begin in, the 60s, when you talk about the uprising, the unity, civil rights, black people coming together, all people coming together at that point to fight, the oppressed and what was happening, and I would say that that's my grandparents' generation. Now when we, fast forward maybe 10, 15 years later into the, 70s, I would say late, like late 70s, early 80s, we're looking at our parents' generation, and that generation, I would say, didn't even have an opportunity to continue that fight that had began, because of, we could talk about crack rock, drugs, dope, heroin, and everything at that point in time. Because before that, you could say we had movements and momentum. We had some leaders that were, taken down as well. So when you talk about that grandparents' generation, my parents' generation, and what happened with the drug era and the crack epidemic, that leads you to, it's almost like it's the steps that lead you to this 14-year-old kid that is in his household going through these things and not really understanding, what to do at that point in time. But way before we even get into the story of this kid, you would really have to understand what happened in history and kind of, like that leads into that, So, way before we talk about crack rock, in my record, we gotta really look back at what happened.
What I want you to take seriously is what we have to do for the youth. Because we're coming up in a totally different world. This is not the same world that you had. It's not the 60s. It's not that. We grew up BC, before crack. That should say it all. You understand? parents that told you this and that, this is what went on back in the day. Now you don't have that. You have young kids, 14, coming home, their mama's smoking out or doing it to their best friend to get the product. You understand what I'm saying? So that means that it's not just about you taking care of your child, it's about you taking care of these children. Because that's what's out here. The gang of children.